what we do at EnergyPal is we help homeowners with their basically decision-making process.
Looking ahead, the future of renewable energy and companies like yours, EnergyPal, is filled with potential and opportunities for innovation.
Solar is a funny product, right? With solar, we're helping people invest in their home, but we're also saving the money in many cases, right?
As a passionate entrepreneur, Marcus, I can see your vision for EnergyPal.
Groups that were $3 billion market cap a year ago are 300 million, right? Like massive drops.
Right. Whether you are nurturing a budding enterprise or dreaming up the next big thing in renewable energy, remember, your journey could inspire a revolution. Greetings and a warm welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast. I'm your guide and host through these engaging explorations into the heart of Canada's entrepreneurial spirit. In today's episode, we are set to discuss the journey through navigating regulatory landscapes, the importance of knowledge empowerment within organizations, and strategies for growth amidst market challenges. We are thrilled to introduce Marcus Joo, co-founder and head of learning and effectiveness at EnergyPal. Join us as we delve into Marcus' insights on pioneering sustainable growth in the solar industry and beyond. Good morning, Marcus, and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast. How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Having you here is true honor and a delight. Your trailblazing journey in making renewable energy more accessible and efficient for Canadians is nothing short of inspiring. And we are all eager to dive into your experiences and the impactful work you're doing at the EnergyPal. Every successful entrepreneur venture begins with a story, a vision that ignites a journey fraught with challenges, learnings, and triumphs. Marcus, could you share with us the inception story of EnergyPal? What motivated you to co-found the company, and what were the pivotal moments in your journey from concept to realization?
Yeah, I think it's important to sort of just mention what we do, right? And that to create some context. So, what we do at EnergyPal is we help homeowners with their basically decision-making process on how they should get solar, battery systems, and we do that throughout all of North America. I think we're in 40 plus states. Most of our business is actually done in the US, but we still do operate here in Canada. And so I've been in this space since 2011. And so I think from a short version, the inception is, we looked at wanting to build a better mousetrap. So myself and my founding team, we looked at the industry, we knew the industry beforehand, and we saw that the issues around customers being confused, being overly, essentially attacked with aggressive, door-to-door sales tactics, and ultimately getting products that maybe were not the best fit for them. So we created a platform that basically, it's kind of like a marketplace in a lot of ways, right? Bring in the best vetted installers, make sure that those installers know what they're doing, and help customers connect the dots on finding those best solutions. And then most importantly, making sure things go smoothly through the project. So that piece in the industry didn't exist well. And so it was very chaotic. And ultimately that was why we jumped back into, doing this. But, rolling back the tape a little bit, I've always been interested in renewable energy. I feel like, you can't be in my generation and not care about the environment. I think it's a big part of it. Also, my background, I'm part Native American as well, so on my mom's side. So it's always been something that mattered a lot to me. And then when I was going to school here at Schulich, right in New York, I had a very impactful, seminar, if you will, from the what was the former head of National Bank of Thailand. And it was he's basically talking about how you could use infrastructure finance, project finance to recreate whole, countries, right? You basically rebuild Thailand. Right. And I love that underdog story, And
you got motivated, right?
Yeah, it was very motivating for me. I was like, man, you can actually, most of when you're learning finance in school, if you're going into that, it's all about, how do you lend against your balance sheet and all those things, right? And then here's this concept where you can just have a good idea, secure a sales agreement, and then get everybody who's invested in the project to be a part of investing in the project and make it all, create something out of nothing. And I thought that was really motivating. And it was serendipitously right when Ontario was launching the Green Energy Act. And it sort of was this fusion of, hey, there's this long-term purchasing agreement being secured by the government, paid for by taxpayers. But who's going to pay for this thing? Who's going to get solar installed on their property? So that's it. Just the timing worked out really well, where I kind of got into solar and then, saw that sort of success and then basically started this company. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your journey with us. Like understanding the foundational narrative of EnergyPal offers invaluable insights to other entrepreneurs, like, who are into the passion and perseverance behind the brand. Isn't it incredible hearing how vision and perseverance can turn an idea into a reality? Folks, let this be a reminder that every big achievement starts with a dream and the courage to pursue it. Whether you are nurturing a budding enterprise or dreaming up the next big thing in renewable energy, remember, your journey could inspire a revolution. We would love to hear your thoughts or entrepreneurial dreams. Feel free to share them with us. Now, the solar industry is deeply intertwined with the regulatory frameworks, as everyone knows who are in this industry, and that can often dictate the pace and direction of the growth. In the process of building EnergyPal, Marcus, how did you navigate the complex regulatory landscape to ensure seamless operations and customer satisfaction at the same time?
So it's a great point. The solar specifically is, it's a nascent industry, right? It's, you have the incumbent utilities, natural gas plants, generation, and then you have people who want to put solar panels on their house and be a part of the system somehow, right? So that in order to make that work, you're going to need governments that support that. You're going to need utility companies that are involved in crediting and making all the numbers work. And it's very complex. There's 4,000 plus utilities we operate with. So a big part of our business is keeping on top of and keeping tabs of what's going on locally in a lot of jurisdictions to see what's going through that jurisdiction. It's a big part of what we do to keep an eye out. So you have to be running the business and at the same time, kind of like a submarine with the periscope up, looking around constantly. You can't dive too deep. Otherwise, you'll just run into the wall or something. So I think it's a big part of our business. And the guidance I would have for Canadian entrepreneurs specifically is don't be afraid to be borderless. The one thing that I see a lot with Canadian colleagues is that they'll really zone in on their like local territory or their local municipality and they want to make that difference, but they're fighting this uphill battle when like maybe a province over or, a country over, there's groups that are very aligned and wanting to help them build that part of their business. So from our perspective, I'd say, you need to be able to be borderless and be fluid. And then also build, again, our business model is structured in a way where we're very nimble. So, if Idaho pops up with a fantastic program, our team can help customers quickly activate that program. If it shuts down, we can pivot. So we've just structured our business not to be so heavy to account for this chaos of government chaos, right?
Yeah. Navigating through the complex regulations can often feel like a daunting maze. But as Marcus has shown us, it's also a path lined with opportunities for innovation and growth. To everyone tuning in, think about the regulatory challenges in your own ventures. How can you turn these obstacles into stepping stones? Your resilience and creativity in the face of adversity are what set you apart as entrepreneurs and change makers. Share your experiences with us. Let's learn from each other's journey. Moving on, let's discuss about building a culture of continuous learning in any organization. Like at the core of any innovative company, Marcus, is a culture that champions continuous learning and development. Like how have you fostered a learning environment at EnergyPal, and why do you believe it's critical for the team success?
Yeah, there's not a lot of companies, not a lot of entrepreneurs that I talk to that have a learning division in their company. There's sales, right? And there's marketing and there's these different groups, but very few have a whole component that just focuses on how do you foster knowledge capture, knowledge management, knowledge, effective use. And for us, we're a completely remote company. We were remote pre-COVID, actually. So we shut our whole office down before COVID hit. And then when it happened, we're like, okay, it didn't really phase as much. So in that environment, storing and making sure knowledge silos don't happen is extremely challenging, when you're working remote. And it's very important that you also foster these sort of team collaboration. I'd say overall, when you're in renewable, in our space, we're in residential, right? And you're talking with homeowners, you're talking with installers, you're dealing with residential construction projects and financing and utility permits and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, you're dealing with people dealing with people.
Right.
And I think a lot of businesses are like that.
Right.
And what gets missed in all the process improvements and, systematic adjustments and all these things is that at the end of the day, like, people need to be motivated, right? And they need to be excited to do what they're doing. Like, that hard, important task that they need to do, that customer they need to call, that is a hard call to make.
Right.
They need to have the energy, the sort of like battery filled up to make that call.
Right.
And that happens when they're getting the support and they're getting the learning and they're personally developing. And so a big part of our whole business is how do we just take each person in the business and make them as effective as possible, give them the tools, make their job as easy as possible, and help coach them to become like the best version of themselves. And then it translates into better customer experiences.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know if that's a long-winded answer. But.
And can you share a specific instance where this culture of learning, as you discussed, led to a significant breakthrough or improvement in your own services?
Yeah, I think, anybody in the, home services world gets into the hamster wheel of finding customers, right? Like we sell a project, you finish the project and you're done, right? There's no ongoing reoccurring subscription business, right? So if you've renovated someone's home, it's done. You don't do it again, right? For many, many years. So for us and for anybody in home services, you have to continually acquire and grow and find new customers. It's a big part of the business. In order to do that, it's either you fight this very challenging, you start door knocking, right? Which a lot of people do still. You do digital marketing and you do all these different things to try to get people to click ads and sign up and call them, or you just get your customers to be your champion, right? To love the business model, to love what you're doing, to see the value you provided. And that only happens when your actual people that you are managing, that you're training, that you're developing, are enabled to create that experience. And so for us, things shifted when we made that focus to be hyper focused on our people and their improvement, converted into we have probably, I think, the most Google reviews from any solar company in North America that are 5 stars. So we're one of the highest rated companies.
That's good.
And we have a very high word of mouth rate from our own customers. And so I'd say that's the significant improvement, is when you can get your customers to be your advocates, but it doesn't happen overnight or it doesn't happen randomly. It happens from each person in the business being really wanting to make that happen.
As you said, Marcus, continuous learning is very, very important for the growth of any business, and also keeping your team motivated. What your advice to other entrepreneurs or business owners, how they can implement this continuous learning process in their own businesses?
I think they just, one thing that I've seen a lot, and, I listen to podcasts and, try to continually develop myself. And I feel everyone's always looking for these lottery ticket solutions, the one solution that they can do. If they just do this one thing, it'll turn around. And we see this even internally. We can all remember a time when we're like, man, if we fix this one part of our business, we'd just be rocket shipping. And it might happen. But I think that what entrepreneurs need to be focused on, and especially if you're building a business and running it at the same time, is you have to just constantly be focused on how can I improve just a little bit every single day. And that's really the mentality you have to have. So I think it's hard to say. It's kind of a bad answer. That's not a specific thing, which is just wake up and try to keep building the business every single day, a little bit,
Step, right.
and think compound growth instead of lottery tickets.
Right.
And I think that's the difference that, we're seeing. So, it doesn't mean maybe our business grew slower than it could have grown, but at the same time, we're still around where we're growing while the industry is contracting because of this momentum and stability we've built.
Okay. Thank you for tuning into the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. We are going to take a quick break to catch our breath. Stay with us, and we will be right back with more insights and stories from the heart of a small business.
You dreamt big. You made the leap. You and your "we're not stopping at small" business. Doesn't matter you've never done it before. You unlock those problems. You adapt to change. You learn to evolve. You're pioneers in challenging times, finding your own frontiers. Wherever you e-commerce, UPS is with you. So nothing is going to hold you back.
Nope.
Constant Contact delivers the marketing tools your small business needs to keep up, excel, and grow. Constant Contact, helping the small stand tall.
Welcome back to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. We hope you are as excited as we are to dive back into today's topic. Let's continue our journey to inspiring the world of small business, full of innovation and passion. Moving on, expanding a business in a market that is experiencing contraction requires strategic foresight and innovative approaches. Marcus, what strategies has EnergyPal employed to continue its expansion and supports its partners and customers effectively, even in challenging market conditions?
Yeah. I mean, I think I should back up a little bit because maybe the reader or the listeners don't know much about the solar industry as of 2024. But it's been a bit of a bloodbath, right? For a lot of groups. I don't know if you follow do you follow the solar stocks?
Right, yeah.
Groups that were $3 billion market cap a year ago are 300 million, right? Like massive drops because they're overextended. There's too much bloat. So I'd say the strategies we've employed is being very lean with our operations, very flat with how we, operate. We don't have layers and layers and layers. But we also, again, the business model is more of that marketplace. So we have vetted installers that we go through a very rigorous process that, we get a lot of installation companies that want to join our platform and basically have us acquire customers for them on their behalf. And we reject them, right? And then the ones that are on our platform, we have essentially a scorecard that we do where we're rating our partners to make sure that they're healthy, right? So we look at them and we look at their health, we look at indicators of their own health. And I think a lot of businesses get sideswiped when they're reliant, because at the end of the day, most businesses rely on other businesses to support themselves. And they, take that other partner strength for granted. Whereas I think we've just had this, maybe it's the culture we have. We just want to check and make sure that everything's going to be okay. Because at the end of the day, we're the ones that have to pick up the pieces for the customers if things go sideways. So that's, I'd say, one of the big things that we do proactively is really stay on top of our partners we're working with and making sure that we're not overloading them with volume and also giving them volume if they need that and helping in that process where it makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. And where do you see the solar industry is going in the future? Like, what are the prospects for the solar industry?
Well, I think it's growing. It's going to grow. Like, this is a trying time for anybody touching home, right? Anybody dealing with the home, homeowners, the macroeconomic, like consumer debt, all-time high, crippling, essentially debilitating willingness to move forward is going on kind of just throughout Canada for sure, but also in the States where we do a lot of business. But solar is a funny product, right? With solar, we're helping people invest in their home, but we're also saving them money in many cases, right? And replacing a cost that's been spiraling out of control. So I think that prospects are still going to grow. It's definitely like the industry is probably going to contract a little bit more. There's still some pain left, on the table that needs to realize. But we're going to get through it. And, and after that, it'll be, I think the shift that's going to be happening is in how people getting solar plus storage systems can be a part of the grid overall and make the grid more resilient, more reliable, a better cost overall for everyone. And those people doing those investments will be a part of that exchange. And we're already seeing that in a lot of jurisdictions.
Okay, thanks for sharing those insights with us. Like, looking ahead, the future of renewable energy and companies like yours, EnergyPal, is filled with potential and opportunities for innovation. As you look to the future, like, what are your aspirations for EnergyPal and how do you see the company shaping the solar industry?
Yeah. I mean, I think we've shaped it a lot in that we're really the largest group that focuses on this, essentially the digital, low pressure, easy way for a homeowner to be able to get access to solar without having like a pushy salesperson in their house trying to sell them something. So I think we've already made that impact. I think, what's nice about our business is that, and the way we've structured with our partners is we're not beholden to a VC, a private equity group. We're 100% bootstrapped all the way through, no debt. We're in a good position as, looking to the future. And, we're always looking to continue finding groups and partners and, individuals that want to keep developing ultimately the mission of just trying to make solar accessible, right? Solar home solar for people to be able to make an impact. So yeah, I think we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, I don't know.
Okay. And what emerging trends in renewable energy are you most excited about, and how is EnergyPal preparing to embrace these changes?
I definitely geek out, you're right, in this space. I, know a lot about the products and care a lot about it. I think that one thing that we're seeing and we're starting to realize is, and that was really like the catalyst of it happened last year in California with a big shift in regulatory framework, but the battery cost, the battery solutions, people being able to get solar and battery systems to be able to power their home during a grid outage and participate in that, that's really gotten a lot better. The technology's really improved. So like solar, a lot of, especially Canadians, they don't like it works. Like even in the snow, like it works. There's people. Your neighbor who got solar isn't crazy.
Right.
The numbers probably made sense for them.
It works in every season, right?
Yeah, it works, and it's not going to work as much, but overall the numbers make sense generally, right? And so, but what's shifting now is that you have a lot of jurisdictions where, like 2 days ago in California, there was 100% solar during the weekday. Like all of the solar for residential and commercial scale, utility scale solar supplied all of the demand in California in the day during a weekday, which has never happened before. So like, where does all that power go, and how do you deal with all that extra energy? And so the concept of the grid, homeowners, businesses having storage systems locally on site and participating in making the grid more efficient and getting paid for that participation is really exciting. And so we're seeing places like Texas and California and even areas like Alberta where those things start making sense. And ultimately, like, homeowners get to also benefit from that too, right? They get to be able to get solar, produce something that's clean, and also have that power insurance that they're not getting right now. So I think that's really exciting.
Okay. As a passionate entrepreneur, Marcus, I can see your vision for EnergyPal not only highlights the company's forward-thinking approach, but also its role as a catalyst in the evolving landscape of renewable energy. Now, as we near the close of our conversation, like Marcus, could you offer a piece of advice for small business owners striving to make a mark in the renewable energy sector?
Yeah, I'd maybe split it in my head. Advice for small businesses, again, it's the thing that I've noticed, and everything changes when you focus on your people and you just work on how, because, when you set the direction, you set the strategy, but then you just religiously focus on how do I improve each person in each role and make sure that they're supported as best as possible. And when that shift happens, the business grows because your employees get excited, they get motivated, and that permeates through your customers. And then they help you. In terms of renewables, I would say just be willing to expand and be able to be flexible to go where you need to go, right? The environment doesn't care about borders, right? Like global warming, climate change doesn't care about Canada or US. It's irrelevant, right? And so for someone who cares about renewables, you have to kind of also take that mentality and just be willing, like if you need to go and, go north, south, east, west, just do it. And don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone and work in it someplace else. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your advice with our entrepreneurs. Is there anything else you would like to add before you wrap up?
Just that it's, especially, when you're in a business as an entrepreneur, and especially if you were previously working someplace and you took the dive to become, an entrepreneur, you can fall into these traps, right? Where you're building the business and then you start managing the business and then you're just managing the business, but the business isn't continually being developed. Right. And so, just take the time weekly, daily, whatever framework, but consistently to keep looking at your core business and the functions and the processes to just keep improving process by process by process in a consistent manner. Right. And I find it becomes too lumpy with a lot of businesses. Not just our experience, but also my conversations with my, other colleagues or entrepreneur friends that I have, is that you either put way too much effort and you kind of gas out, right? And trying to fix the business, or you don't, right? And you just are managing. And so I think that's the hard part of being an entrepreneur, also building the business and managing at the same time. And so just take the time to do it.
Thank you so much, Marcus, for being here today at our show. It's really being a pleasure chatting with you on entrepreneurship and also on the very important topic like renewable energy. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
A key takeaway from our discussion is the paramount importance of navigating regulatory landscapes, fostering a culture of continuous learning, and innovatively expanding in challenging markets. A special thanks to our partners, exclusive banking partner RBC, exclusive shipping partner UPS, and exclusive accounting software partner Zero, and our exclusive email partner Constant Contact for their unwavering support. To our listeners, we invite you to subscribe to the Canadian SME Small Business Magazine by visiting our official website CanadianSME.ca for more inspiring episodes like today's. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to sharing more stories and insights in our next episode.